The dark side is not merely a force to wield, it is the lifeblood of our empire, the essence that binds us as a people. It is the breath of creation and the breath of destruction, the storm that churns through the galaxy and ensures that only the strong, the worthy, may rise to lead. Yet strength is not measured by conquest alone. True strength is found in understanding that the dark side demands harmony among its children. It thrives based on the unity of our clans, in the balance between our ambition and our pride. The strong rule here not as tyrants, but as guardians of a larger empire, ensuring the will of the dark side flows unbroken through our people, like blood in our veins. We the Sith are the children of the dark side, born from its chaos and shaped by its power. It whispers to us in the winds of Korriban, speaks to us in the flames of our rituals, and reveals its will through symbols etched in our stone, our grand structures to its grand design. It is living, not to be bent to one's will, but to be harmonized with like a song that guides our dark destiny. It is in this harmony that the weak of our empire find purpose, the strong will find glory, and our empire will stand eternal. Pride is not arrogance, it is the acknowledgement of what we are, chosen conduits of the dark side's will, entrusted with its energy to forge a path, one of greatness and gold. Our strength lies in our unity, for the dark side is strongest when we act as one. Each of us plays a role, the warrior who defends, the priest who guides, the king who leads. The dark side does not tolerate weakness, but neither does it reward thoughtless cruelty. To lead is to understand the weight of the dark side's will, to protect our people so that they may thrive and grow stronger with each generation. It is this sacred balance that breathes life into our empire. We are its children, bound to its power, eternal, and through our unity, the dark side will ensure our destiny has become unyielding. Greetings Acolytes and welcome back to the channel. Today we wanted to have a look at how the original Sith species perceived the dark side. Before the arrival of Ajunta Pal and the 12 exiled Dark Jedi, the Sith pure-blooded species had a deep intrinsic connection to the dark side of the Force, one which perpetuated their culture, religion, and their daily life. Unlike the Dark Jedi who later introduced notions such as ambition and domination, the Sith species from long ago viewed the dark side as a natural and a spiritual force, something to be revered and harmonized with rather than simply to manipulate and dominate. This perspective would shape their society into one of mysticism, ritual, and reverence for the dark side, reverence for the powers of their universe. The Sith purebloods believed the dark side was not merely a tool, but a living force that surrounded and could influence all aspects of existence. They regarded it as a manifestation of natural chaos and balance, destructive but also creative. This intrinsic duality reflected in their religious practice, where rituals often had both destruction and creation, such as a sacrificial offering to their god in the use of Sith alchemy, trying to transform and enhance life itself. But the Sith purebloods, the dark side was much more a spiritual force to be worshipped, as this is the practical means in which they gained strength, through unity with the dark side. Ritualistic practices were central to how the Sith purebloods accessed and ascended the dark side. These rituals often had chants, blood sacrifice, and elaborate ceremonies, all of them designed to invoke the favor of the dark side. This is extremely different from the Sith that we'll see in the future. The Sith pure-blooded species valued unity, unlike the more personal and individualistic approach that the power of the later Sith would embrace. The purebloods believed in collective ceremonies, where entire clans and priests could participate in summoning and challenging the dark side's energy. This communal aspect of their practice reflected their tribal culture, a deep-seated belief in their interconnection of their people and the dark side. They were extensions of it. Sith alchemy was one of the distinctive ways that the purebloods harnessed the dark side's power at the time. They used alchemical ritual to alter the physical world, imbuing objects with the Force, creating weapons, and even transforming living beings. These creations often served religious or ceremonial purposes, further emphasizing a mystical nature of their connection to the dark side rather than seeking to dominate. Alchemy was not only a way to demonstrate power, but also a way to commune with the dark side, to express their devotion to it. The Sith purebloods' societal structure also mirrored their beliefs about the dark side. They were organized into clans ruled by either kings or lords. These were the chosen by the dark side. Leadership was not only determined by hereditary rights, but also by displays of power and favor from the dark side. Challenges to authority among the Sith Empire were not common, despite what you might think, as this is one of my favorite aspects of the lore. The Sith pure-blooded species did not fight within themselves because of one simple fact. They believed that the strength of their society came from unity under leaders who had been divinely chosen by the dark side. under the later Sith philosophy introduced by the Dark Jedi, those that originated from the Jedi Order, and ultimately used pieces of Jedi doctrine to fully corrupt the Sith in their natural love for the dark side. The purebloods saw the dark side as a force to be harmonized with rather than one to be conquered. They sought to align themselves with its chaotic nature. They saw themselves as conduits for its will rather than its master. This belief led to a more balanced relationship with the dark side, where they embraced both its destructive and its nurturing aspects, not wanting to impose their own will on it in the way that the Dark Jedi would later teach and advocate for. Emotion played an essential role in the Sith purebloods' connection to the dark side, but they approached it with a more ritualized and communal way than the Dark Jedi would. Anger, hatred, and fear were not merely tools for personal empowerment, they were seen as sacred emotions that could channel the dark side's energy for good to progress the tribe and the people, the society. These emotions were cultivated and released during ceremonies, typically under the guidance of powerful Sith priests or shamans, who acted as spiritual leaders and mediators of the dark side. In this way, the purebloods' perception and use of the dark side before a Junta Pao was deeply rooted in their culture and their spirituality. They revered it as a natural and a divine force, using it to strengthen their society and maintain their connection to the universe's primal energies. This philosophy was fundamentally altered when a Junta Pao, the first of the technical Dark Lords, at least by the modern definition of what a Sith is, and the other 12 Dark Jedi that accompanied him. This group introduced a new, more individualistic and exploitative ideology that would forever change the Sith. However, the legacy of the pureblood spiritual approach to the dark side remains a foundational aspect of the Sith's history, even though it was overshadowed by the ambitions of their conquerors. The purebloods had a more primal and a pure connection to the dark side, rooted in their culture and spiritual tradition. They didn't see the dark side as a tool for personal ambition or gain, didn't even see it as a way to dominate others, but rather as a natural force that guided cycles of destruction and creation. To them, destruction was not an end in itself, but a necessary precursor to renewal and growth. Their rituals and practices focused on harmonizing with the dark side rather than bending it to their will. This shows a more balanced and an almost reverent understanding of the dark side's power, one that later philosophies, both Sith and Jedi, would interpret in very different ways. The Sith are important because they're one of the first people groups in all of Star Wars that actually worship the Force as something greater. What's fascinating is the original perspective of the dark side shares similarities with the ideology of Luke Skywalker and other Jedi that they would adopt later in the timeline. Luke, for instance, acknowledged the importance of balance in the Force, understanding that the light and the dark are intertwined aspects of a greater whole. The view contrasts sharply with the corrupted. Luke likely wouldn't have thought as the purebloods as his enemy, but this view contrasts sharply with the corrupted and malevolent form that the Sith would emerge as over time. It is ironic that this more balanced understanding of the dark side was once integral to the Sith purebloods' way of life, but was overshadowed by ambitions of outsiders, specifically the Dark Jedi who sought refuge among the Sith after the 100-Year Darkness. The Jedi, whether intentionally or not, share responsibility for the depraved order that they eventually created. The Dark Jedi, exiled for their heretical views and lust for power, were the ones who introduced corruption into the purebloods' tradition. They imposed their own selfish ambition and individualistic philosophies onto the Sith species, transforming a spiritually cohesive society into an order defined by betrayal, greed, and conquest. In doing so, they not only reshaped the Sith's ideology, but also ensured the Sith would remain locked in an eternal struggle with the Jedi, perpetuating a cycle of violence and hatred that undermined the original harmony of the Sith pureblood. The historical evolution of the Sith highlights the paradox of the Jedi's influence. By rejecting the exiled Dark Jedi, the Jedi inadvertently created their own worst enemy. The purebloods, once guided by communal and spiritual relationship with the dark side, became instruments of chaos and destruction under the Dark Jedi's guidance. This transformation reveals the fragile nature of the Force, constantly swayed and reshaped by the actions and beliefs of those who wield it. It raises questions of whether the true form of the dark side was once tied to natural cycles of balance, but was lost forever, at least by the Sith, replaced by the corrupted legacy of ambition and domination introduced by beings who once called themselves Jedi.